What if I told you that Sean Diddy Combs wasn't the mastermind behind his own empire, but actually just a pawn in a game so dark and twisted that when he finally tried to play against the real power players, they destroyed him? Over 250 hidden cameras, secret recordings of A-list celebrities in compromising positions, politicians, preachers, and princes all caught on tape, in a blackmail operation so sophisticated that it kept an entire industry in line for decades. But here's what they don't want you to know. The moment Diddy became a liability to the people who created him, those same puppet masters pulled the strings to orchestrate his downfall. We're talking about tapes so explosive that federal prosecutors won't even use them as evidence. Why? Because making them public record would expose a network of power that reaches into the highest levels of government, entertainment, and beyond. Today, we're diving deep into the real reason Diddy got arrested. It wasn't just about the freak-offs or the allegations, it was about a man who knew too much, recorded everything, and when push came to shove, the people who made him decided he had to go. So buckle up, because what you're about to hear will completely change how you see Hollywood politics and the invisible hands that control them both. This is the story they never wanted you to piece together. Let's get into it. Here's where this story gets truly insane. We're not talking about a few security cameras around the house. According to multiple sources, including former bodyguard Gene Deal and insider testimonies, Diddy had every single room in his properties wired with recording equipment. Every single room. When the FBI raided his homes, they reportedly seized over 250 cameras and recording devices. Think about that number for a second. What kind of person needs 250 cameras in their house? This wasn't security, this was systematic surveillance of everyone who walked through his doors.
We're getting a look at new video from last month's raid at Sean Diddy Combs' home in Holby Hills. The mother of one of his sons shared the video on Instagram, calling it an excessive use of force. The footage was edited and sped up. Two of Combs' sons, Justin and Christian, were briefly detained in the federal raid relating to sex trafficking allegations. Justin's mother says she's now getting a lawyer involved. There was also a raid at Combs' home in Miami as well. He has denied all of the allegations so far.
Associate Lil Rod stated in his court affidavit that every room was bugged and that Diddy had tapes and information on celebrities, people in the music business, and politicians. We're talking about micro cameras, hidden recording devices, equipment so sophisticated that guests had no idea they were being monitored during their most vulnerable moments. This wasn't amateur hour. This was a professional level operation designed to capture compromising footage of some of the most powerful people in the world. And the scariest part, many of these people had no clue they were being recorded until it was too late. But here's a million-dollar question. Why would someone go to such elaborate lengths to record everything? The answer is simple but terrifying. Control through blackmail. Multiple sources have confirmed that Diddy wasn't just collecting these tapes for his personal entertainment, he was using them as leverage. Think about it. You've got politicians at your parties doing things they shouldn't be doing. You've got A-list celebrities in compromising positions. You've got preachers and princes caught on camera in situations that would destroy their careers and reputations. Gene Deal revealed that people in the industry had to do business with Diddy because they knew what he had on them from those parties. It wasn't about talent or business acumen, it was about fear. Fear of what would happen if those tapes ever saw the light of day. Even Cassie's mother allegedly had to pay Diddy $20,000 just to get tapes back. If he was extorting the family members of his victims, imagine what he was doing to politicians and celebrities who had billions of dollars and careers on the line. This wasn't just recording parties for fun. This was a systematic blackmail operation that gave one man unprecedented power over some of the most influential people in the world.
6,000 bottles of baby oil found at P. Diddy's mansion. But why? During a shocking investigation, federal agents uncovered something strange at the home of one of hip-hop's biggest icons. But what was he doing with 6,000 bottles of this stuff? What seemed like a weird detail is turning into the key to something much darker. The staff was desperate to stop agents from going deeper. But why? What are they hiding? The FBI thinks this could just be the tip of the iceberg. What else are they about to uncover? Drop an FBI in the comments for part 2 and let us know.
Now here's where this story takes a dark turn that most people aren't talking about. What if Diddy's arrest wasn't just about justice finally being served? What if it was actually a calculated move by the very people he had dirt on? Think about the timing. Diddy had been operating this way for decades. Everyone in the industry knew what was going on. The parties, the recording, the blackmail. So why now? Why did everything suddenly come crashing down? According to insiders like Jaguar, Wright, the moment Diddy looked like he might cooperate with the FBI, the powerful people he had compromising information on turned against him. These weren't just celebrities we're talking about. These were politicians, industry executives, and figures with connections that reach into the highest levels of government. Jaguar Wright put it perfectly when she said that Diddy had been covered and protected by people like Clive Davis and Lucien Grange for 30 years, but the second he became more of a liability than an asset, that protection disappeared. It's the classic move: eliminate the threat before the threat can eliminate you. And what bigger threat is there than someone who has decades worth of compromising footage of you engaging in illegal activity? Here's where politics enters the picture in a big way. Donald Trump and Diddy used to be tight. We're talking about friends who attended the same parties, called each other up, posed for photos together. Trump even praised Diddy publicly, saying he was a good guy and that he really liked him. But everything changed when Trump entered the political arena. In 2017, Diddy made it clear he didn't care about Trump anymore. Then in 2020, he went nuclear, saying that white men like Trump need to be banished and calling Trump's removal from office the #1 priority. He even warned of a potential race war if Trump stayed in power. Now here's the kicker. Trump recently admitted in a Newsmax interview that while he thinks Diddy might be sort of half innocent, pardoning him would be difficult because of those hostile comments. Trump literally said, "When I ran for office, he was very hostile. It makes it more difficult to do." But Gene Deal thinks there's something deeper going on here. He believes Trump is actually afraid of what Diddy knows and what might be on those tapes. After all, they were at the same parties for years. If Diddy was recording everyone, what exactly did he capture of Trump before their relationship went sour? Let's talk about what actually happened at these parties that made them so worth recording. According to Phil, a former employee who worked for Diddy for 6 years, these weren't your typical celebrity gatherings. They called them Wild King Nights, and Phil's job was to prepare the rooms beforehand. Picture this. Phil would have to stock hotel rooms and bedrooms with baby oil, Astroglide candles, incense, liquor, mood lighting, tons of toiletries, and drugs. They even had something called a Diddy pack, a satchel filled with party drugs, including mushrooms and joints that staff had to carry at all times. But here's the most disturbing part. Phil's other job was deleting the incriminating videos from Diddy's iPhones and iPads after these Wild King nights were over. He didn't have to be in the room to know what was happening because he was literally cleaning up the digital evidence afterward. Phil thought he was working for a clean businessman who had risen to the top through intelligence and education. Instead, he discovered his boss had a daily addiction to these kinds of activities. This wasn't occasional partying, according to Phil. This was happening every day, every hour. The level of organization and preparation that went into these events shows this wasn't spontaneous behavior. This was a systematic operation designed to create compromising situations that could later be leveraged. Here's where things get really suspicious, and it involves a theory that could blow this whole case wide open. Gene Deal pointed out something that should make everyone ask questions. Why didn't federal prosecutors use the tapes they seized from Diddy's house as evidence in court? Think about it. They raided his properties, seized over 250 cameras and recording devices, and supposedly found tons of incriminating footage. But instead of using those tapes in court, they relied on a tape that Cassie had provided separately. Why would they do that? Deal's theory is chilling. If prosecutors had used the tapes from Diddy's house as evidence, those recordings would have become public record. And once something is public record, anyone can request copies. That means all those compromising videos of politicians, celebrities, and other powerful figures would eventually be accessible to the public. By using only Cassie's tape, they kept the explosive content locked away and protected the people who appear in those recordings. Deal even noted that the first prosecutor, Damian Williams, retired right after the Diddy raids, right after they got their hands on all those tapes. This suggests that there are people so powerful, so connected, that even federal prosecutors are working to protect them. The question is, who exactly are they protecting, and what's so damaging on those tapes that it's worth compromising a major federal case? What makes this story even more explosive is how it connects to other major scandals, particularly the Jeffrey Epstein case. Recent developments have shown that Trump's connections to Epstein run deeper than previously admitted, with a lewd birthday letter from Trump to Epstein being released by the House Oversight Committee. The letter features Trump telling Epstein, "May every day be another wonderful secret." Language that suggests an intimate friendship built on shared knowledge of each other's activities. Sound familiar? It's the same kind of relationship dynamic we're seeing with Diddy and his powerful connections. What's becoming clear is that there's a pattern here. Powerful men creating networks of compromise and control through blackmail. Epstein had his island and his recordings. Diddy had his parties and his tapes. Different methods, same system of control. The timing of the Epstein revelations alongside the Diddy case isn't coincidental. These networks are interconnected, and as one falls, it threatens to expose the others. Jaguar Wright pointed out that Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Kelly, and Sean Combs all share common connections to these same power players. This isn't about individual bad actors. This is about a systematic approach to maintaining power and control through the most damaging kind of leverage possible. And when you realize that the same names keep appearing in connection to all these scandals, it becomes clear that we're looking at something much bigger than any single case. What makes this entire situation so volatile is the sheer number of people who are now coming forward with information. We're not talking about one or two disgruntled former employees. This is an avalanche of witnesses, victims, and insiders who are finally ready to speak. Former bodyguard Gene Deal has been dropping bombshells about the extent of the recording operation and the powerful people who were caught on tape. Phil, the former assistant, has revealed the disturbing details of how these Wild King nights were orchestrated. Jaguar Wright has been connecting the dots between multiple predators and their shared connections to industry power players. But here's what should terrify anyone who is part of this network. These people have their own evidence. Wright mentioned that sex workers she's connected with have been wearing hidden cameras for years, and that she has her own tapes showing ritualistic behaviors, drugging, putting girls in suitcases, dumping them in alleyways. The floodgates are opening, and each new testimony is corroborating the others. What started as allegations against one man is becoming a comprehensive expose of an entire system of abuse and control that spans decades and reaches into the highest levels of entertainment, politics, and business. As more people find the courage to speak out, the network of silence that protected these operations is crumbling. And if Diddy decides to cooperate fully with authorities to save himself, we could see revelations that completely reshape how we understand power and influence in America. So there you have it. The real reason Diddy got arrested wasn't just about the parties or the allegations we heard in the media. It was about a man who became too dangerous to the very people who created him. A man who had dirt on politicians, celebrities, preachers, and princes, and who was starting to look like he might use it to save himself. What we're witnessing isn't just the fall of Sean Combs, it's the exposure of a system that's been operating in the shadows for decades. A system where blackmail is currency, where compromise equals control, and where the most powerful people in our society have been living in fear of what might be on those tapes. The question now isn't whether more names will come out, it's how many and how high up the ladder this conspiracy really goes. With over 250 cameras worth of evidence in federal custody and an increasing number of witnesses willing to talk, we might be looking at the biggest scandal in American history. But here's what they're counting on: that you'll get distracted by the next news cycle, that you'll forget about the connections we just laid out, and that this story will fade away like so many others. Don't let that happen. Keep asking questions. Keep connecting the dots, and keep watching, because this story is far from over. What do you think? Are we looking at isolated incidents, or is this evidence of a much larger network of control and corruption? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories they don't want you to piece together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.